An FPV is so much more than just a car. Ask anyone who's ever owned one, and they'll tell you. It's a feeling, a passion, a car that truly speaks to its owner. This 2014 FPV GT-F is unfortunately the last FPV model ever made. It's also the most powerful and the fastest. With a 5-liter supercharged V8 whining out an impressive 471 horsepower and 420 pound-foot of torque, add in the overboost feature and you're making a staggering 540 horsepower and 480 pound-foot of torque when conditions suit. Limited to just 550 units for the entire world, this car signifies a final send-off to a truly legendary Australian car manufacturer.
Well, the day has finally come. I have been patiently waiting for this day and to bring you guys a perfect example of the last ever FPV. This, of course, is the GT-F, and in this smoke color with the black accents, the black striping, 6-speed manual in this one. It doesn't get any better than this, and I am just so excited for today. So if you guys are ready, I'm ready. Let's see if this car actually lives up to the name. All right, and starting up this, turn the key. Oh yeah. So, inside the GT-F, well, we're on a nice straight road. This thing's got launch control, so let's see what she can do. So, just put her into first here. $100! I don't know if I can really say I got a perfect launch there, but it stuttered for that slight second when I let off the clutch, but that's probably just driver error on me just being new with the car. But my goodness, this thing hauls. It absolutely is an absolute missile. This thing is just insane how quick it builds power once you're moving. It is just, and it's just so instantaneous, this car. That supercharger just really lets it all out, and my goodness, you are on warp speed in this car. Really, it is really impressive. It's this thing reminds me a lot of the Barra, the 310 Barra, when you're on the freeway and you drop a gear. Mate, this thing feels just as savage. It really does. This car is absolutely just such an icon, such a legend, and you know, a lot of people might think that, you know, they probably didn't do enough to this thing for being the last ever FPV model, but I don't know, I gotta say, sitting in this car and driving it feels pretty damn good. Now, just before we continue with this video, please go ahead and make sure you hit that big red subscribe button and click the bell notifications just so you get updated on all our weekly uploads. And just easing onto that throttle again here. My goodness. God, I miss a 6-speed manual. This is, this is so nice. Oh my goodness. And the speed in this car, it is kind of like, it kind of tricks you almost, because you're only going through like first, second, third, and then you look down at the speedo, and yeah, you are well and truly in the danger zone. So, yeah, the speed here is just absolutely incredible. You don't even need to take this car to redline at all. It's just so quick anywhere in the rev range. That is just the beauty, of supercharged power. It's just instantaneous speed everywhere. And my goodness, just the build quality, like the feel of this car, it just feels so well made. It does. Like the internals of this car, the driveline, like you can feel the back wheels in this car. There's just so many feelings that get transferred through the steering wheel, through the seat, and oh, it just feels quality. Now this car is pushing 351 kilowatts all the time, and like we said, when you got the overboost feature in the right conditions, the right temperatures, this car can go to over 404 kilowatts. That is 540 horsepower, people, and that is insane.
Now, the thing I love about Ford here is that they've actually claimed the correct numbers. This is claimed at 351 kilowatts, and if you take this onto a dyno and run it in, you will get around 320 wheel kilowatts. And, that is a very, very accurate number. Not so accurate if you take the HSV counterpart, that being the LSA GT-S, claimed at 430 kilowatts, though if you actually dyno it next to a GT-F, the GT-F will make around 20 kilowatts more. And if you don't believe me, I'll leave a link for a video that proves this in the description below.
Now, just getting into some of the other 5 questions here, let's go ahead and do sound, and rolling onto it from here. My goodness, you do get a bit of that supercharger whine. You can hear the exhaust when you really step on it. I will say that it could be a little bit louder. It really could be. Just going from memory, when I did the XR8 Sprint, I thought it might have been a little bit louder, and that kind of surprises me. Handling, well, this car actually handles really well. The steering is some of the best I've felt probably in a FPV. It is very connective. It's still not extremely quick, the ratio, but you know where your wheels are, you know where dead center is. There's very little play in the wheel. The 6-speed manual, again, it's just absolutely fantastic. Really makes this car just feel that much more engaging. And this car, suspension-wise, I believe is running the same suspension as the R-Spec. So, it is a very well-sorted car. It does soak up the road reasonably well here. And when you take it around a corner, it is noticeably better than a standard FG Falcon. One thing to mention about the handling again here, though, is that at a bit higher speed, on rough roads, this car does have a slight tendency to hop a little bit. But not having that adaptive suspension here, you do run into that little bit of a problem on a rougher back road. It does kind of bounce a little bit if the road condition isn't ideal. And just sitting in this car, it just feels so familiar. You know, you get that big dash in here. You see that massive bonnet bulge just outside the window, and I gotta say, I love seeing that bonnet bulge in any of the XR8s. It's just so comfortable to sit and drive this car. It really, really is. The seats are just really, really nice, actually. These seats, gorgeous leather. You know, you got some Alcantara as well on the sides. They got the GT-F logo embroidered into the back, and just built for long cruises. You know, it is, again, just such a comfortable driving car. Now, practicality. Well, this being sort of the last ever FPV model, I don't know how many people are going to want this as a practical vehicle and take it out every day. Probably not many, but in its essence, this is a very practical vehicle in the fact that it's large, it's comfortable, you can easily sit 5 people in this car. You know, it's relatively good on maintenance. You know, these cars are quite reliable. The negatives, some of the negatives you would say would be fuel consumption. Fuel consumption is quite bad, being a supercharged 5-liter V8 here. Claimed at about 13.7 liters, but from what I can see on this car, we're getting about 15.2 on average. So she's thirsty. Some things that they really could have worked on in my mind is that, I say it to just about every Falcon, the beige roof liners, I don't know why they never blacked these out. This would have made it a lot nicer. They still got that kind of faux carbon-ish plastic stuff on the dashboard. I don't know why they've done that either. They would have been nicer to actually maybe get something real there, because this is just, yeah, it's not ideal. Now, price. Well, this is a big one because this was a lot of money when it came out. You know, this being the last ever FPV, it's a collector's item. So, you know, of course it's going to attract a big price tag. The price tag that was asked for it was $77,900. And considering what had all been done to it and what the price for the XR8 and that was coming up, was a lot of money. You know, it was a lot of money, this car. But I think for the people that bought one, the people that, you know, own one, it's not so much about the price of this car and what it offers you, is more so the fact that it's just something incredibly special and the last of a legacy, you know, the FPV range. And it's hard to put a price tag on that. Now, on the used market, these cars, as you would figure, have just pretty well skyrocketed. These cars nowadays, if you go on car sales right now and try and find one that's, you know, in good shape, low kilometer, which pretty much all of them are, you expect to pay in the 6 figures. You know, you really are going to have a very, very hard time trying to find a car like this under $100,000. And I don't think that price is going to come down pretty much ever. Now, a funny thing about this car is that out of the 500 that Australia got, the New South Wales police actually purchased one and rigged it up to be a highway patrol car. And not only that, they took the car down to Dick Johnson and got him to basically modify that car to over 800 horsepower. And nowadays, the New South Wales Police, they've still got that car. They take it to some shows and that, but it is still a fully rigged up, fully capable highway pursuit car with 805 horsepower, and it's a GT-F. That is, yeah, good luck, people of Sydney. Now I'm gonna finish the video off here today, so a huge thank you goes out to the owner for allowing me to take out his pride and joy here. He's actually one of the admins of the WAFPV collective group, which I'm actually a member of as well. So that is something really cool. And if you guys are interested in joining, you know, you got some FPVs, you're in WA, a link will be in the description. So yeah, you should check it out. They do a lot of cool events and go to a lot of car cruises and stuff. So yeah, this car is an absolute legend. And although it is a little bit sad and unfortunate, it is the last one. I just couldn't stop smiling today. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If so, please remember to hit that like button. Consider subscribing if you're new here, and we'll see you on that next video.